Hello, and welcome to a brief library comparison during these unique times of COVID 19 by Sarah Paulus, Carolyn Sutton, and Rachel Fisher. Hello, this is Sarah, and the library I chose is located in Western Washington in an urban setting. The library has been closed since March 2020 and was one of the first regional library systems to do so due to its proximity to Seattle, which was one of the original major hotspots for COVID 19. As the library is still closed, the entire system is virtual and everything offered is found on either the main website or social media pages. The regional library's website, the main page, just lists the basic resources available to everyone. This includes library cards, Wi Fi access, and employment job searching resources, which is still very beneficial during this time. One can find hours for takeout services for specific libraries on the main website, but that information as well as the library director and address are all that's listed for Library 1 on the main website. There is a very detailed calendar listing out Zoom programs with their links and information on what each program is. You have to search through the website to get to it, but it is very helpful as you can refine the programs listed to specific age groups, activities, and which libraries offer the program. As everything is Zoom, the regional library system pulled their resources, and no program is specific to one library at this time. When it comes to actual program advertising, you have to look at the library's individual social media website. Facebook is the prominent social media used. When looking at my library's Facebook wall, they did an excellent job promoting, but there was really limited interaction on these posts. Children's Services of Library One offers many amazing programs geared towards children. Some of the programs they provide for the elementary age kid include a Zoom story time, virtual show and tell, kids book lounge, virtual build along, which you can either get the kit from the library or they will have a list of materials in which people can collect. And they also have a program called Acting Out, which is a drama club Zoom meeting for the elementary age kid. For the really young, like the preschool and toddler age, they do offer YouTube options like Storytime, which include bilingual storytime, songs and rhymes, and some STEM activities as well. Youth Services for Library One is just as extensive as the children's programming. They have a multitude of Zoom offerings, including the following: virtual teen book chat, trivia night, a drama workshop specifically for middle and high school students, Prism, a monthly hangout for those in the LGBTQ plus community, Jackpot Games, which is games like Drawful, Cribbage, and other games of that sort, Teen Manga Practice, where people can practice drawing anime or other comic styles, and multiple STEM programs. Though these are all once a month, they do offer a twice a month Dungeons and Dragons Zoom for the upper high school and college age kids. One unique thing that Library One and the entire regional library system does is a program called Story Trails. The library is located in a region of Washington where one of the biggest pastimes for a lot of people is to go hiking. There is a multitude of state and national parks as well as various walking trails. To tap into this market, the regional library system coupled with these different parks and created this program, Story Trails. Families can pick hiking trails that participate in the program and take their families on a hunt for pieces of a story. They're typically picture books, deconstructed, that young family members can find and read to finish the whole story. It is a great way to get outside and read, finding adventure when many are still stuck inside.
Hi, this is Carolyn. My observation was of an urban library in Michigan that serves nearly 42,000 patrons. This number represents nearly half of their service population. There are appropriately sized tables and chairs in each of the 3 youth services areas. There is easy and unrestricted access for both strollers and wheelchairs. The bookshelves are low enough for small children to browse, and the easy readers are in bins that are low to the ground. The middle grades area sits between the other 2 and has comfy chairs and tables, a number of computers, and some desk space. The teen area is sectioned off and offers a few comfy chairs, desk space with larger chairs, and a few computers that have internet access, some video games, and software needed for homework and other projects. As my phone interview had to be short, I didn't have the chance to ask any further questions about the physical space and youth services as I focused on services and programming instead. The youth services director reported that their branches all closed in early March and immediately began taking actions to be sure they could continue to serve the community in every way they could. They were immediately in touch with schools to see what they needed and how they could best support them. The school district was quick to get technology to the students so they could attend virtual classes, and the library designed an e-card service that allowed any student with an ID or teacher's approval to have access to library resources. Because they had a great number of students who qualified for free and reduced lunches who weren't able to receive those benefits when not in school, the library partnered with other sites and delivered lunches to these students through a drive-through service. This library has always had a very strong online presence with substantial resources for their young patrons, their families, and teachers. With the shutdown, they worked hard to develop new and additional programming and resources. For little ones, one of the first things they did was to produce 3 online story times per week. The videos received far fewer views than they'd hoped. They also created a virtual Tinker Lab for their youngest patrons, building on the STEAM program that was already in place. In addition, they are posting workout videos and other physically active programs for these patrons and their parents, concerts, and a huge number of outside resources. For the 5 to 13-year-olds, they started with a few mini-games such as reading challenges. Since their summer programming was already heavily web-based, they built on that after lockdown. They created a geocache game to encourage tweens to be active out in the community, along with other outdoor and STEM activities such as gardening and an around-the-world program which included patron-created content. These programs only generated about half of their typical participation at most. In the fall, they added Saturday afternoon adventures and Family Read, which are family activities and read-aloud sessions that often include hands-on supplies. This library had an established teen advisory group which continued their meetings virtually. Some teen kits were made available and were pretty popular at first, though that trickled off after school was back in session. After a study was brought to the library's attention that stated teens were feeling very isolated during the lockdown, the library began building subscription boxes to try to help address this. They also created a number of activities and calls for submissions through the library's Instagram page, and even offered gift cards as incentives, though the teen group still didn't engage as much.
Hi, my name is Rachel, and I went to a library that was currently open to the public. During my time there, I was able to see that in the youth department, the shelving was low enough for toddler-age children to reach, and they were spaced very far apart so strollers and wheelchairs could easily fit. A room where the programming was held was also accessible to people with strollers and wheelchairs. None of the play materials could be out at this time, but I was told before the pandemic there was a puppet theater, a train table, a drawing station, and also dress-up clothes that children could use. The walls are decorated with fun pictures, and the carpet is colorful, making it a great, exciting space for children. One thing I noticed is that the middle grades did not really seem to have a dedicated space. They had their section of shelving with the junior fiction and nonfiction materials, but they didn't really have like a specific seating area or specific computers. They seemed to share the computers with the children's area. The junior fiction and nonfiction were easy to find, and they were on taller shelving, but it wasn't so tall that, say, an 8 or 9-year-old couldn't reach it. If you were a 5th grader and you wanted to take a break, you would probably mostly be drawn to the computers. There appeared to really be much else you could do. There's seating, so if you wanted to go read a book, you could. You can just find seating around, not necessarily in the junior fiction area, but and then the teens had their own little area, and you could tell they definitely tried to make it look trendy and appealing to a teenager. They had more fashionable, comfortable chairs. They had lights up. They also had a few computers over there for the teens, and I was told that is mainly what the teens come over to use. They do browse the shelves, but not as frequently. They really want to get on the computers, play the games, and whatnot.
After discussing and writing up all 3 of our libraries, we placed them into a Venn diagram to just kind of demonstrate the similarities and differences between these three libraries. Obviously, one of the biggest differences between all three is that Library 3 is available for patrons to go inside at a limited capacity, while Library 1 and 2 are still only open for takeout services. One of the biggest things, though, that we saw with all three libraries is that during this unique time, they created online Zoom virtual programming to try and best serve patrons during these unique times. Beyond that, each library tried their best to serve their unique patrons, like Library 1 being in such a hike heavy community, providing story trails, Library 2 providing some teen subscription boxes to help keep youth involved and engaged, and Library 3 having book bundles available for curbside pickup and online homework help. Thank you so much for listening in to our library comparison.